morning and welcome to online worship with the First Parish of Sudbury Unitarian Universalist. There's a button below this window that enables you to receive the order of worship, so please click on it and follow along. Our meeting house has been a gathering place for our evolving congregation for 380 years. To ensure the health and well-being of our members and friends, we have moved online for the time being. We hold our meeting house in our hearts and minds as an anchor to our commitment and faith with one another. Wherever or however we gather, we endeavor to create a space where all are welcome. Whether one is a longtime member or if you just found your way here this morning, each and all of you are encouraged to safely bring your whole self to this forum. All of your respective beliefs, identities, gladness, and sorrows. Leave nothing about yourself behind. We are so happy that you are with us here this morning. This morning's reading was written by Reverend Emily Wright Magoon, Current That Beckons Us. Here this morning, we do find the world because we are of and in and from the world. Some of us weary with exhaustion, some bitter from too much distancing, some with a yearning for more than the surface life, some aching to give and receive, some eager to cross new thresholds, all of us wounded in some ways, all of us triumphant in some ways. The world is all here among us, within us, and yet we also consecrate here and now a different time, a different space, in which we can practice settling into the deep waters of life, in which we can feel the ripples of currents that beckon us into the heart of our lives, into the heart of the world. Let us gather virtually together where we are intentionally many, but yet one in a practice of community and Sabbath as a discipline of wholeheartedness. Come and be welcome. Please join me in saying our unison chalice lighting this morning. We light this chalice on the shorelines of life, gathered as one at thresholds unknown, surrendering to the mystery and blessing that surely awaits as we dispel fear and call forth love, light, and peace, crossing over the threshold together as one. This morning's reading is from The Traveler by John O'Donohue. Let us pause a moment to contemplate together the journey that today we set upon. May we understand that a journey can become a sacred thing because we want to make sure our journey of transition is a sacred time. We pause before we set off on our journey. We pause and take the time to bless our going forth. We pause before we set off on our journey to free your heart of ballast. Those memories and emotions that we cling to are those that seem to cling to us. We pause before we set off on our journey in order that the vision and the mission might direct us toward the territories of spirit where we will discover more of this life's hidden possibilities. We pause before we set off on our journey because there are urgent needs by individuals within our communities, by the larger world that call out for the ministry of a community, a family, a congregation that is as vibrant and as powerful as we together can become. How did I make it over? I love that piece. So this morning's sermon is entitled Broken, A Journey Towards Wholeness. And I wanted to start out with Ernest Hemingway, who was a prolific drinker, observer of life, writer, aficionado of love, having been married 4 times, once explained that the world breaks everyone. And afterwards, some are strong, at the broken places. One wants to believe that all will be healed and stronger after we face the worst. But these words are particularly poignant because in July 1961, Hemingway, in the entryway of his home, took his own life. The word "some are strong at the broken places" rings true, and harsh at times in a hard world. What is accurate in this life is that life, loss, challenges that we face, love, illness, and addiction can in fact break us. Living this life can bring us to our knees at times. And in the AA 12 steps of Bill W., we have the opportunity to learn that each one of us needs to be able to admit this to ourselves, that we are vulnerable to the vagaries of life, that control is hard won, requires so much mental calisthenics, so much support from outside of ourselves, that it can seem like too much. Thus, at times, we are called to hand it over to a higher power, defined as we see fit. What does it feel like to know that we have little control? Does it seem real? Is it scary? Does it make us want to run and hide in the closet? It seems daunting at times that even if we work very hard, we plan well, if we are a good person and we do the right things over and over again, that something could come along, something might happen that is out of our control, something that shakes the foundation of our lives. It is always a shock when that something does arrive. And that surprise places us in a moment when we must choose if we are able to take the time to suffer or to push on. The Buddhist description of suffering, dukkha, refers to the fundamental painfulness of a mundane life. In Judaism, I selected from the Torah the story of Job. I've shared this story with you before, how Job had everything. And then over a wager between God and Lucifer, Job was brought low, losing everything. Lost his family, his property, his livestock. He was left on an ash heap, a pile of burned garbage. He was covered in boils. For Job also lost his good health. He was, as the story goes, absolutely miserable and truly suffering in every imaginable way. You see, Job was considered to be God's favorite because he was so devout, the perfect, dutiful human being. And yet, because Lucifer challenged that Job was only good because he was so blessed, God chose to prove otherwise, left Job's fate in Lucifer's hands, who did his utmost to test Job's resolve. Thus, Job was made to suffer with the rest of humankind, but even more so. His friends all questioned what he had done to earn God's wrath. When Job tried to explain that he had done nothing wrong and everything right, that he had sacrificed and prayed, made offerings, kept his family on the straight and narrow path of righteousness, when he could have cut corners, he never did. His friends did not believe him, did not believe that bad things could happen to truly good people. The story of Job is all about proving that bad things can in fact happen to all people, regardless of goodness. It was a classic wake-up call story. Job, as did his friends, expected to receive rewards for their faithful behavior. The lesson that this story has offered for millennia is that nothing is guaranteed. The outcome of the Job story is that in his absolute brokenness, Job challenged God, saying, "You tell me," which in true biblical language is a challenge. You tell me, why am I suffering? At first, God refused to answer, but Job was relentless in his pursuit to understand why. After a time, God relented, led Job on a tour of the universe, where he basically put Job in his place, explaining, you can never know or understand the why of it all. It is beyond your comprehension. Then God bids Job, fully awakened, to share what he now knows. Job humbly explains, "Therefore have I uttered that I understood not. things too wonderful for me which I knew not. Here I beseech thee, and I will speak. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye seeth thee. It is at these words that God relents and believes that Job, a mere mortal, really gets it. What Job explains that he will do next is pray for his friends who do not understand either, that they are ignorant of the ways of God and the world, because they believe they are good and righteous and that harm cannot touch them. Job now knows better from firsthand experience what his friends do not want to know, that bad things can happen to good people. God, truly satisfied with Job's awakening to his new knowledge, returns all that was taken from him, described in chapter 42, verse 12. So the Lord blessed the latter of Job's life more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep and 6,000 camels and 1,000 yoke of oxen and 1,000 she-donkeys. He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. I find this next part very interesting because Job's daughters and not his sons are the ones who are named. And he called the name of the first Jemimah, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Karen Hupach. And in all the land were no woman found so fair as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. After this, Job lived 140 years and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations. So Job died being old and full of days. Job got it all back and more. His life was blessed even more than it had been before. I share with you the story of Job because it is not if we will be broken in our lives, but when we will be broken in our lives that we must consider. And then how and who will be strong and resilient enough to heal and ultimately become stronger at the broken places. Will we choose to sit on an ash heap railing at God about why, or make another choice? For we are unable to choose what happens to us, but we can choose how we respond to the suffering that we face. This morning, I intentionally chose the word broken for the title of this sermon because it carries with it deep meaning, challenges, and the expectation of scars, but it also implies that we are able to heal. Just like a bone that is broken, we can heal. I imagine that many of you have felt broken in your lives at one point or another, some experience too varied and numerous to name. When we are in that place of suffering, it is hard to even imagine what wholly healed might feel like. Feelings of suffering, brokenness can be difficult to imagine or relate to because the particulars are very subjective for each one of us. What might hurt and break me may affect you very differently. That goes for any challenging experience. We will most likely all respond differently. For a time, we will be disabled, but the care and patience we move to, with care and patience, we move to a different place. It all depends on us. For example, I've been watching videos the last week that are being posted by first responders during this pandemic. Some are creating videos of synchronized dance moves in the hallways of the hallways of hospitals to music that they are working at to help raise their spirits and to connect together as a team, while others, locked in their cars or hospital storage closets, through tears explain how hard it is to face what they are experiencing. Suffering touches each one of us in different ways. Being socially distanced and in lockdown can feel excruciating to some and a respite from the rat race to others. There is no one size fits all with regard to our experience. I turn to the words of John Scher, scholar, political theorist, and professor emeritus at the University of California, Santa Cruz, who explained that the future is not a result of choices among alternative paths offered by the present, but a place that is created first in the mind and will, created next in activity. The future is not some place we are going to, but one we are creating. The paths are not to be found, but made, and the activity of making them changes both the maker and the destination. I love that. And it feels like a step moving towards wholeness. First created in the mind and will, next created in activity. One intentional, mindful step forward at a time. I turned to one of my favorite sources online to kind of figure out what's going on and what we can do. WebMD, the authority on how to deal with what ails us. I think of the pandemic trauma that we are all living through right now. And as I read these words written in 2018, they really resonated with me. If you've ever been through a highly stressful event or series of events, you have been through a traumatic experience. A feeling of helplessness, horror, and in some cases, the challenges of a serious injury or the threat of one are common as part of these events. There are many ways you can help yourself get through it. I don't know about you, but I need some strategies to get through it. Let me share some of the ways that WebMD explains that you can do this. May these options offer us fodder for the mind, manna for our will, and guidance with regard to what next steps on the journey we might take. I find the first comical in a way, that the list begins with the advice, don't isolate yourself. I mean, I just find that hysterical. We wish, right? Isolate yourselves. Don't not isolate yourselves. I have added my own commentary throughout these recommendations for our 2020 pandemic lifestyle. The first, don't isolate yourself. Reach out to friends and family. Here's my point, via Skype, Zoom, or FaceTime. If others have had the same experience, talk to them. We are all having this same experience on a global level. It's very okay to talk about it. They may have some of the same feelings that you are. Yep, that's for sure. Open the lines of communication as soon as possible after, or better yet, during your traumatic event. It's an important part of your and everyone else's recovery. The second, seek professional help. The stress that comes with a traumatic event can be crippling. Sadness, fear, and grief, as well as depression, can take hold. If your feelings in the first month after the event or during the event are so severe that they interfere with your regular life, not that anything isn't interfering at this point, find a mental health expert in your area who can help. I agree with this wholeheartedly because we will be affected in different ways. And with a quick expansion of telehealth that's going on right now, a professional can be as close as your phone or your computer. Don't wait till you're completely caught up and unable to move forward. Join a support group. Talking over what you're going through with others who have and are having the same experience and or still going through it can be helpful after and during a trauma. Not only will groups like these lift you up, they can give you tips on how to deal with what's happening. Your doctor or mental health expert can point you to local support groups, or you can find them online. For example, yesterday, the men's group met. And, that's the way that we can connect together during these experiences. So I encourage you to get involved. Face it, don't avoid it. As tempting as it may be to try to avoid or forget a traumatic event, a key ingredient in recovery is learning to be okay with your memories of it, the things that trigger them without trying to avoid them. Facing your feelings head on is important because you want to be able to take care of them in a way that helps you to move forward. I personally have withdrawn in some ways from the news, anything that forces me to stay in that place of constant stress and anxiety. Facebook, I check once a week. We can only take so much at a time. We need to take breaks from the reality that we're living in. We are living through right now. My uneducated experience is going to change everything. Thus, we need to be prepared for that outcome and be okay with not knowing what the future may look like. Exercise. Get out and move. Wear a mask and gloves if you're planning on touching anything. Experts say it's one of the most effective ways to handle the after effects of a traumatic event. Deep breathing, gentle stretching, and walking are all good choices. If you want your exercise to be planned to be a bit more challenging, that can help too. Don't force things though. If you're tired, it's okay to rest. With this in mind, some days I do, and some days I don't work out. My goal is to be kind to myself. I wake up and I sort it out then. What might this day look like? I ask myself in the morning. The key is to create a balance of family, work, and play. Listen to your body. Your body and mind will tell you what to do to heal. Eat healthy meals, rest when you get a chance, do things that make you happy, take a bath, work toward a regular sleep schedule where you go to bed and wake up at about the same time each night to cool, dry, dark, quiet room. Read, go for a nice stroll, watch the Boston Symphony, the Met Opera, or a home concert online. What makes you feel good? Take the time to treat yourself. Some of you are not going to like this next one at all. I'm sorry. Stay away from alcohol. A drink to bring on sleep or to take off the edge is one way some choose to go through the stress of a traumatic event. They're trying to numb the emotions or forget things. It may feel like it's working on the short term, but it can do damage in the long run. The problem is if the stress continues, alcohol or drug use may continue as well. That could lead to mental and physical problems and a long-term dependence on not only, you only know the triggers that trigger for you. So whether a drink is good or not, that's up to you. Get back into your routine. Regular life can be interrupted by a traumatic event. A goal for those trying to get past the stress of trauma is to return to the day-to-day schedule as soon as possible, or shall we say, is safely possible. Getting your groove back can help you reestablish a sense of normalcy and regain a sense of control of your life. So true, but we are not there yet. In many ways, we need to remain in this place, create new norms that can help us cope with long-term distancing. It is true that we may get reprieves along the way. However, I can only imagine that a wave here and there will require that we stay vigilant. I like this next one a lot, actually. Fix the little things. Take the time to resolve small conflicts in your life so they don't build up, add stress. If you have large tasks, break them into little ones. Set some priorities, then tackle them when you can. Checking those off your list will let you focus on the bigger battles, help you to have a small sense of accomplishment along the way, which is really important right now. Take stock. You can ease the stress of traumatic events by stepping back, taking stock of your life, concentrating on what's important. Strengthen bonds with family, friends, and community. Reassess personal goals. Come up with a plan to reach them. Volunteer and give a little more to charity. All of these things can help overcome the stress of trauma because they take our minds off of ourselves. Meditate. Even if you're unfamiliar with meditation, turning inward to ease stress can help. Deep breathing or focusing on your exhale can ease your mind and relax you. Focus your attention on breathing, on parts of your body while you meditate. That can keep your brain from thinking about your stress. You may want to repeat a mantra or pray. Mindfulness, Tai Chi, and yoga are also great ways to find your calm. The last few weeks, I've been offering guided meditations every Wednesday at noon to help alleviate stress and bring peace and calm into our lives. I invite you to take 30 minutes out of your week to join in this important relaxing practice. Celebrate life. It's important to realize that it's okay to feel joy, to celebrate successes, and to revel in the warmth of your family and friends even after a traumatic event. It's all part of the road to recovery. Another one of my very favorites, turn up the tunes. A recent study found that cultural events like sports and the arts can help communities recover from a shared trauma. Music, too, can be integral to communities and individuals, whether it's a music therapy, making music, or just listening. Meditating while hearing a favorite song can help as well. My partner Mindy and I endeavor to have an official dance party once a week where we turn up the tunes. Favorites like Ella Fitzgerald, Tommy Dorsey, Pink, Coldplay, Michael Jackson, and Queen, and so on, dancing and singing like no one's watching. It is amazing therapy. I truly recommend it wholeheartedly. Karaoke, anyone? Singing is the great way to feel more grounded. It helps you breathe, helps you release. It's really wonderful. Here it is, the point. When we are caught unawares by the challenges of this world, and we slide into a place of suffering and ultimately feeling like we're a little broken, we and those closest to us are the ones who will help to uncover a way forward towards wholeness. The good news about being a little or a lot off kilter is that we, each one of us, has the opportunity, if we so choose it, to heal ourselves, sometimes with a little help from our friends. I know that in our culture, we tend to live in ways and have become accustomed to being healed by others and thus believing that we are not powerful enough to do the job ourselves. Help with healing is still a viable option, but we can also make this decision towards healing ourselves, to step out onto a path towards wholeness with nothing more than a motivated mind, willpower, and a call to action. Could it be true that every one of us has some sort of healing power inside of us? Not to mention our body and mind's ability to heal given the right climate. Maybe only one piece of the puzzle, but it's there. Society teaches us that all we have to do is take a pill and we'll feel better. This way of thinking takes the power away from us and keeps us beholden to an overburdened system. The mental, emotional component to healing is just as important as anything that we may choose to put inside our bodies to promote healing. Let go of what does not serve you. Meditation, yoga, stretching, and practicing gratitude will help each one of us to connect our inner self and prepare our mind and body for healing. No shock, dear ones, it is up to us. Healing requires us to stop struggling, to do nothing more than to enjoy life more and endure it less. Job faced the worst, his mind boggled by the reality that the challenges that we face are not predestined or based on good or bad behavior, but just the luck of the draw, the spin of the wheel, or in some ways, a sadistic God wanting to prove a point. I'm going to knock on wood after saying that just in case. As I mentioned before, it is not if we face into suffering, but when. So my dear ones, time of suffering has arrived for us all. What will we do to preserve this one precious life? How will we emerge at some point healed instead of broken, changed for the better? Because it is for certain that we will emerge changed, but it's not predestined. In what way? It is all in our hands. I invite you to take a moment in silent meditation and prayer. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. First Parish is financially sustained by annual pledges, fundraisers, donations of time and treasure, and with this, our weekly offering. Please be generous if you are able. The online offering is available in two ways. Click on the button below the screen, or you can text your offering to the number that's located in your order of worship. Please refer to your order of worship if you are confused or have any questions about how to do this offering this morning. And thank you for your support for the work of First Parish of Sudbury. Let us join in saying our Chalice Extinguishing located in your order of worship. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. I want to thank you for gathering with us online for worship this morning. While we are meeting online, we will be offering the opportunity to gather to share milestones and announcements directly after, as is our tradition, the postlude. After the music stops, please click the coffee hour button below the screen next to the order of worship and offering buttons, and you will be moved into a Zoom room. Our closing words for today. We have reached the end of this time for the gathering of memory and for letting the imagination play with future possibilities. We have enjoyed magical moments, edified each other. Shall it be concluded then? Or will this adventure now commence to continue? Our separate paths converging, meeting, merging in an unending quest for love, for life, for perfect in our eyes. The joyous struggle for meaning more sufficient and life more abundant. In this ending, to be an ending, or merely prelude to new, more glorious beginnings, I pose the question, in your heart lies the answer. May you find your way on this journey to wholeness, and may this way be blessed. Namaste, Shalom, Amen. So be it.